welcome back to the Avocado Toast Budget. If you are new here, my name is Lexa, and today I have a really exciting announcement. I'm super stoked to be able to talk about it here on YouTube and go more into depth for all of you, but I quit my job officially. I am done. By the time that this goes up, I will have already had my last day and I will officially be doing the ATB full-time. So this video doesn't have a lot of structure planned to it. I just kind of wanted to come on here and chat with you guys about it, update you, walk you through my thought process, and kind of how I got to here. I am beyond excited. I never ever thought that I would be able to take the ATB full time, even like years down the road. My plan was for it to just be a side hustle, something I could enjoy doing, connect with people that I was sharing like my personal finance journey in, and hopefully like make some income on the side. But never in a million years did I think that I was going to be in a position where I could quit my stable job and still feel secure in just living off of the ATB. But before we get started, make sure if you enjoy this video to give it a big thumbs up. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm, helps boost this video to the top. That way more people can find this content. So let's go ahead and talk about me quitting my job. Okay, so just some background. I've chatted about this a little bit and I've touched on it in other videos, but I think it's important to talk about like what job did I have? How did I get here? Because my job that I had before, my like full-time real life job, is very different than what I do here at the ATB. So actually around this time last year, I graduated with my master's degree in psychology with a specialization in ABA, which is applied behavior analysis. And at that time I was working as a registered behavior technician, working with autistic children, and that was pretty much the way that I would get to the next step up to become a BCBA, which stands for a board certified behavior analyst, which is basically just like the next position up in that field. And looking back now, it's really interesting because about halfway through getting my degree, I knew that it wasn't what I wanted to do anymore, but I just kind of kept telling myself that it was because I had already invested so much time and, let's be honest, money and energy into this field. And I just kind of had this like mindset that this is what I was supposed to do and this is like my passion and I should just keep moving forward and hopefully I'll just push through it and eventually I'll figure out that like this is actually what I want to be doing. So I just kind of ignored those feelings. Even though I knew inside that it wasn't meant for me, I just kept going because I thought it was what I was supposed to do. So when I graduated, I just kept telling myself, I had like really burnt myself out getting my master's degree. I got my master's degree in less than a year and a half. At that point in time, I'd also done 1,500 supervision hours on top of getting my master's degree and working full time. So it was a lot. So pretty much I had already burnt myself out before I even started my position officially, but I just kept pushing forward. I had just graduated in the middle of a pandemic and I was lucky enough that I was able to test for the big test that you need in order to become certified, and because of that I also got a job opportunity at the same place that I had been working as an RBT. So I just thought, okay, the world is telling me this is what I need to do, everything is falling into place. I'm unemployed, so I should probably take this. But at that same time, I had been unemployed for about 6 or 7 weeks, and during that time I really got into the world of personal finance because at the time I was struggling with $20,000 in credit card debt. Like I said, I had like sprinted through my master's degree, so honestly the last thing that I was thinking about was money. I was just trying to continue on as a human being. And now that things I had thought were hopefully just kind of settling down, I wanted to learn more about kind of digging myself out of this hole that I had gotten myself in. And when I started learning about personal finance, I loved it. And I loved the impact that it was making on my life in such a short period of time. And I decided I wanted to start something where I could just kind of share that with people. Originally, I had planned for it to be a blog. So I sat down with my partner and said, hey, what do you think if I start this blog? I talk about the things that I've learned. I share my journey with people. If it's not making some sort of a side income within the next like year, I'll call it quits. And because at that point, both of us were really struggling because I had worked so hard and I was constantly working that I didn't want her to feel like I was just kind of rolling into the next thing where I was constantly working for nothing and then I would never actually find a work-life balance. So I had set that goal within a year. If it's not making any sort of like a side income, I'll do it less frequently. I won't treat it like a side hustle. I'll just treat it more like a hobby, and we'll figure it out from there. So she agreed, and originally I started thinking about names for the blog, and actually one of the first names that I ever ran across was the avocado toast budget. I was playing with different names of either avocado toast or iced coffee because those are like the typical millennial things that like we spend money on that cause us to be in debt. So I knew that I wanted my name to incorporate one of those. I also knew that for like SEO reasons, which is just like basically making it easy for people to find your content when they like search on Google or Instagram or YouTube, I wanted it to include something about budgeting or personal finance or money or debt or something like that. So one of the first names that I had was the avocado toast budget, and I was going between that and another name. I don't remember what it was. I think it was like, I really don't remember. It had something to do with like frugal, which is like so funny because that's not who I am anymore. So I'm very glad that I did not pick that name. But I sent that name to like a couple people, like my best friend and my cousin, and I was telling Liz about it. And we all decided that the avocado toast budget was like the one we wanted to go with. And it's so funny looking back on that because it was just kind of like, I knew. I didn't spend very much time thinking about it. I literally just did like a Google search to see if it was already trademarked or if the domain had already been taken, and it hadn't. So I quickly went through, I bought the domain rights, and I just went and like made the avocado toast budget on all social media platforms. I never planned on actually expanding past like a blog and Instagram, but I knew if maybe at one point I wanted that, I wanted the rights to those before anyone else took it. Now looking back, I'm very glad that I did that because it probably made my life a little bit easier as I started to move on to other platforms. So this all happened around June going into July, and I pretty much within like a few days had a blog up. I hadn't had any posts yet. My plan was to post once a week, and after I think I posted for like a month and a half or something on the avocado toast budget, I decided to move to TikTok. It was a random decision. One night Liz was out with friends and it was like 2 o'clock in the morning and I was doing nothing, and I decided that I would just like start posting on TikTok because I started thinking about how did I consume my content, and personally I didn't consume it on blogs. I watched TikToks and YouTube, and every once in a while I went on Instagram, but really like TikTok was where I spent the majority of my time. So I decided to start making content on there, and that was like the most life-changing night and decision of my entire life because the avocado toast budget blew up very quickly. If you want to know more about my growth on TikTok, I will post a video from my other channel here. I talked all about it and I went through the steps that I took to kind of get there, but it was like crazy to me because I never planned on that happening at all, and it still doesn't quite feel real, but I really don't think it felt real in those moments because I don't honestly think, looking back on it, that I recognized the growth that I was having so quickly. I knew it, but I didn't like know it, you know? That was all around September, and then I had pretty steady growth, and then in December, all at the same time, one of my videos on TikTok and one of my videos on Instagram went viral, and it was like the same day. It was Christmas Eve, and I remember, it was so funny because I remember thinking, oh, it's like the holidays, I probably won't get much on like my stuff, so I'll restart after the holidays. I'll enjoy my time with my family. No one's probably watching TikTok or YouTube. And it's really funny looking back now because that was like one of my most popular days on my platforms ever. And that was the moment that I kind of had to start telling myself that eventually I was going to need to make a decision about whether I was going to continue with the ATB or if I was going to continue with my full-time job. Because once I blew up and I had more followers on TikTok and on YouTube and on Instagram, I realized that in order to keep that going and in order to keep the ATB alive in the way that it was, I was going to need to dedicate a lot more time to it in a way that I probably didn't have sustainably with a full-time job. I was managing to balance it up until that point, but I knew as I grew there were going to be more things that required my time, and I knew that there was no way for me to balance a full-time job and that and still have the like downtime and work-life balance that I wanted to have. And that's when I really started to think, I didn't say anything officially to anyone, but I actually remember I posted, and I'll pop a picture up here, my December, like in December, I posted my goals for the avocado toast budget for 2021. The biggest goal that I had, I actually didn't put on there, A, because I was worried that my actual job would see it, and B, because I was worried I would say it and then I wouldn't be anywhere near reaching that goal by the end of the year. But my biggest goal was to be able to take the ATB full-time and to be able to quit my full-time job. I honestly didn't think that I would actually get there, which is why I didn't want to post it, because then I didn't want my job like firing me, thinking that I was like going to quit and I had no way of actually getting there. And I figured that would be closer to like December of this year. And then the last like couple of months, there started to be some changes at the place that I worked at and some like decisions at the corporate level that I did not agree with anymore. And I just knew that it was time for me to move on. And I was really lucky because I started crunching the numbers and I realized that I could take the ATB full time. I wouldn't have to move on from that company and try to find something else in my field, which was also really good because at this point in time, I knew that this field was not for me. I did not feel good about this field. I know a ton of you have messaged me saying that like you're going to be BCBAs or you're getting into this field, and that's great, that's wonderful. Make decisions for yourself. But I started following a lot of autistic people on TikTok and started hearing their stories and educating myself more on the autistic community. And I realized that all of those like gut feelings that I had had about this field were true, and I didn't want to be a part of it. And it's definitely a big privilege that I was able to recognize that, and then I had a way to get out, because I do recognize that there are people in this field, I know them, that feel like they are stuck because with a degree in ABA, there's really not much that you can do with it. They say that there is, but outside of working with autistic kids, there really isn't a lot established yet, unless you want to freelance or work for yourself or own your own business in a different field using ABA. And the more and more that I got messages and comments from all of you talking about how much you related to what I was saying and how much just me talking about this stuff changed your life and your relationship with money, I realized that that was what brought me true joy. I hadn't felt joy like that from my job in a really long time, and I knew that I needed to do whatever I could to make that happen. So I had been thinking about it for a while. I had talked to Liz about it. I remember I mentioned when I talked about my first ever paycheck from the avocado toast budget that I actually like paid myself. I remember telling you guys that I wanted to talk to Liz about the opportunity of quitting my job and how much money we would need in an emergency fund for her to feel comfortable with that. Because obviously owning your own business means that you have not as steady of income as you would when I was a salaried worker. And on top of that, I was also making $65,000 a year. So that is a really big cut to go from taking money from the ATB, which was making us a good amount of money, like a full-time job, and then having another full-time job. It's a big change to go from that to just one, there's no guaranteed income. There are tons of different ways that the ATB makes money, but in theory, TikTok could shut down, Instagram could shut down, YouTube could shut down, and I would be left with nothing but my website, which doesn't generate nearly as much traffic as those do. So we sat down, we crunched the numbers. I remember that I was like on the fence about telling my boss that I was going to quit, and my company had actually had this meeting that did not go over very well and did not sit right with me at all. So I hopped on a phone call. I had planned to talk to him like the week after, but he wanted to talk that day. I told him I was quitting. I gave them a very long notice. So this all happened like almost 2 months ago. So I've known for the last like 2 months that this is where I was going, but because of everything and with that company, I really couldn't talk about it up until recently. So I am like so excited that it's finally here, because it's just felt like such a long interim. Interim? I don't know if I've ever actually said that word. I've only read it. Interim? It's felt like a very long time that I've been kind of in the middle of transitioning away from being a BCBA and into being my own business owner. I'm nervous, but I'm so excited for it. And I'm really excited because I have all of these dreams and ideas for the ATV that just were not plausible with the amount of time that I had. I was lucky that the company that I worked for, my hours, like in theory, I could kind of make some of my hours, so it was a little bit more flexible. It wasn't like a 9-to-5 job, but now I get to create all of my own hours and I get to decide exactly what I want to do with my time and where I want the ATV to go and what kind of content I want to create, and I don't have to worry about pushing out content that I don't feel good about because I don't have enough time. So I'm so excited about it, and I cannot wait for this next portion of the ATV. I think that we are just getting started. I have so many cool ideas for you guys, and I can't wait to connect with more of you and just continue to hear your stories, because it's seriously like the coolest thing I've ever done. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I quit my job to become an influencer, which I don't like that word, but I quit my job to be a content creator and run my own business that I started in the middle of a pandemic and had no idea that it was going to get to where it is. So I'm so excited, and I am unbelievably grateful to every single one of you, all of you who just watch my videos or comment or leave a like. Just know that like I look at all of that, like and it really just blows my mind every single day that I am where I am, and that people even know who I am and people want to listen to me, and that I'm making a difference. And I'm unbelievably grateful and so excited for this next journey for the ATV. So thank you all so much for watching and listening to me ramble about this transition. I cannot wait to see you guys again. If you enjoyed this video, make sure that you give it a big thumbs up. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm, helps boost this video to the top. That way more people can find this content, and I will see you all next time. Bye.